This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have the chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. Pause. At the end, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to Part 1. Part 1. In this part, you will hear a telephonic conversation, and based on that you will get 10 questions. First, you have some time to read questions 1 to 6. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 6.
Good afternoon, City Language Center. This is Priya speaking. How can I help you?
Hello, Priya. My name is Jessica Arnold. I'm interested in enrolling in evening Spanish classes for beginners, and I have some questions.
I'd be happy to help, Jessica. We offer Spanish classes for adults at several different levels. You mentioned you're a beginner. Have you studied Spanish before?
No, I haven't. I only know a few basic words from traveling, but I'd really like to start learning properly.
That's great. Our next beginner's course starts on the 5th of October and it runs for 10 weeks. Classes are held every Wednesday evening from 6:30 to 8:30.
That works for me. How many students are in each group?
We keep our classes small, no more than 12 students per group. That way, everyone gets a chance to practice and ask questions.
Who teaches the class?
The instructor is Marcos Alvarez, a native Spanish speaker with over 12 years of teaching experience. He makes the lessons very interactive and encourages everyone to speak from day one.
Sounds perfect. What topics will we cover?
In the beginner's course, you'll learn how to introduce yourself, ask and answer simple questions, order food and drinks, talk about your daily routine, and understand basic directions. There's a lot of emphasis on speaking and listening.
Are any materials provided, or do I need to buy a textbook?
We provide all printed handouts, and the main course book is included in your fee. You'll also get access to our online learning platform with extra practice exercises and audio files.
That's convenient. What's the total fee?
The full fee for the 10-week course is $195, which covers tuition, materials, and access to our online resources. Payment can be made in full or in 2 installments of 97.50 status.
Is there a placement test?
No test is required for absolute beginners. However, if you've learned some Spanish before, we can arrange a short phone interview to check your level.
I won't need that. How do I enroll?
You can register on our website, or I can take your details now and send you a confirmation email with the payment link.
Could you do that? My email is jessica.arnold82@gmail.com.
Of course, Jessica. I'll send all the information this afternoon.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
One more question. Do you offer any discounts?
Yes, we offer a 10% discount for students, seniors, or anyone booking with a friend. Just enter the discount code or let us know when registering.
That's good to know. What happens if I miss a class?
No problem. If you let us know in advance, You can attend a makeup session on Thursday evenings with a different group, or we'll send you a summary of what was covered and the homework.
Is there homework each week?
Yes, usually a short listening or speaking activity and some vocabulary practice. It's all designed to reinforce what you learn in class.
Is there parking at the center?
There's a small car park at the back of the building and free street parking after 6 p.m. The center is also just 2 minutes walk from Northgate bus station.
If I have questions before the course starts, can I contact Marcos directly?
Yes, you can email him at marcos.alvarez@citylanguage.co.uk. He always replies quickly.
Thank you so much, Priya. You've answered all my questions.
My pleasure, Jessica. We look forward to seeing you in class next month.
Have a nice day.
You too. Goodbye.
That is the end of part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Part 2. In this part, you will hear a monologue. A person is giving an orientation to a group of people. First, you have some time to read questions 11 to 15. Listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Northbury University Library Orientation. Whether you're an undergraduate, a postgraduate, or here for a semester abroad, this session will help you understand how to make the most of our facilities and services. I'm Francesca Baird, the Chief Librarian here, and I'll be walking you through everything today. Let's begin with a bit of background about the library. The current building opened in 2007, replacing an older, much smaller facility near the science block. Since then, we've more than doubled the number of resources available and tripled our student seating capacity. You'll find the space is now divided into 3 main zones. First, there's the quiet study zone. That's on the upper floor. Ideal for individual work with zero tolerance for noise. Then there's the group collaboration area on the ground floor, equipped with whiteboards and large tables. The third is our tech hub, which includes multimedia tools, high-spec computers, and 3D printers. One of the most common mistakes students make in their first term is underestimating the online resources. While our print collection is strong, over 70% of our academic content is actually digital. That includes journals, ebooks, conference proceedings, and databases. You can access these from the library homepage using your student credentials. Another question I often get is about borrowing limits. Undergraduate students can borrow up to 10 items at a time, while postgrads and doctoral candidates have a limit of 15. Loan durations vary by material type, but most items are renewable online unless reserved by another user. Now let's talk printing. Every student account is automatically credited with £10 in printing balance per semester. You can top up this amount online or via card at the kiosks located near the main desk. The printers themselves are multifunctional: scan, copy, and print. And they're available 24/7 during term time. Food and drink. What's allowed? Well, we've softened our policies a bit in recent years. Lidded drinks and cold snacks are now permitted throughout the library, except in the tech hub, where equipment is sensitive. Hot meals are still prohibited, though, and we ask students to be respectful about strong smells.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 16 to 20. Now, listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Now let's hear what some students have said about their experience using the library during their first semester. Amina, a second-year sociology student, said she never expected to use the library for anything beyond books, but ended up discovering the recording booths for her podcast project and found the tech staff extremely supportive. Leo, who's doing a master's in data science, mentioned how the availability of late-night support during finals saved him more than once, especially when he ran into issues using statistical software he'd never touched before. Priya, an international student from India studying English literature, noted how helpful the academic skills sessions were, particularly the workshops on essay referencing and avoiding plagiarism. She called them a lifesaver. Then there's Dylan, an engineering student who praised the equipment loan service. He said the DSLR cameras and tripods he borrowed made a huge difference to the quality of his project submission, which involved filming a prototype in use. Lastly, Sophie, a drama student, was surprised by how relaxing and inviting the library environment felt. She'd assumed it would be strict and formal, but instead she loved curling up with a play script in one of the beanbag reading corners.
That is the end of part 2. You have half a minute to check your answers. Part 3. Part 3 is an academic discussion between a student and a professor, or between two students. You need to listen to their conversation and answer questions based on that. First, you now have some time to read questions 21 to 25. Now, listen and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hello, Leo. How's everything coming along with your group project?
Hello, Dr. Simmons. We're progressing steadily. We've decided to focus on the role of urban green spaces in improving community health. Our group found the subject both timely and impactful.
An excellent choice. There's growing interest in how nature and green environments affect urban populations. What's your central research question?
We're asking, to what extent urban green spaces influence physical and mental well-being in densely populated neighborhoods? We're especially interested in comparing areas with accessible parks to those with very few.
That's a very relevant and focused angle. What methodology are you applying?
We're using a mixed method approach. We've collected quantitative data through online surveys and public health records. At the same time, we've conducted interviews with local residents in two boroughs, Eastwell and Newton Grove.
Smart. And how did you choose those areas?
Eastwell has several well-maintained parks and open spaces, while Newton Grove is largely built up with limited access to greenery. Both areas have similar socio-economic backgrounds, which helps us isolate the effect of green space.
That's very thoughtful. How many survey responses have you received so far?
Just under 150. We're still analysing the full data set, but we've already noticed some interesting patterns. For example, respondents from Eastwell reported significantly higher levels of physical activity.
That aligns with what existing literature suggests. Did you observe any differences in mental health indicators?
Yes, actually, self-reported stress and anxiety levels were noticeably lower in Eastwell. Several interviewees attributed that to their ability to walk or relax in the park regularly.
That's compelling evidence. How are you measuring mental health?
We're using the DAS-21 scale to assess depression, anxiety, and stress levels. It's not diagnostic, of course, but it's a helpful comparative tool for this type of study.
Absolutely. Are you looking at any policy-related angles?
Yes, we've examined the local council's budget allocations for green spaces over the past 5 years and interviewed one urban planner from Eastwell. It seems that investment in maintenance and accessibility really correlates with community satisfaction.
Very interesting. What challenges has your group encountered?
Initially, it was tough to get participants from Newton Grove, where people seemed less inclined to engage. We had to switch to short-form interviews and collaborate with a local community centre to get responses.
That's a clever adaptation. How are you dividing up the tasks in your group?
There are 4 of us. I'm handling interviews and the conclusions. Asher is working on the data visualization. Ben is writing the literature review, and Sarah is leading the survey distribution and analysis.
Good delegation. And are you using any tools for data analysis?
Yes, mostly SPSS for quantitative data and NVivo for coding the qualitative responses. It's been a learning curve, but worth it.
Sounds like you're on track. What's your current word count?
Around 3,600 words, including tables and appendices. We're aiming to keep it under 4,000 as per the guidelines.
That's fine. Just make sure your discussion and conclusions are clear and not rushed at the end.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Have you begun preparing your group's presentation?
Yes, we're presenting next Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. We've booked a study room this weekend to run through it together.
Good. How long is your slot again?
15 minutes, followed by 5 minutes for questions. We've divided the speaking parts equally.
That's important for clarity. What visual materials are you using?
We've created a slideshow with 10 slides, including bar charts comparing physical activity levels and a map highlighting green space coverage in both boroughs. We're also including a short 30-second video clip showing interviews with residents.
That's a great idea. What's your plan for submitting the presentation?
We have to upload it to the portal by Monday at 4:00 p.m. Asher will take care of that once we do our final run-through.
Excellent. And rehearsal?
Yes, we're doing 2 rounds, Saturday and Sunday afternoon. That way, we can tweak any awkward transitions or timing issues.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Dr. Simmons. We'll make sure it's polished.
That is the end of part 3. Now you have 30 seconds to check your answers. Part 4. This part is a monologue where a person gives a seminar on a topic. You need to listen and answer all the questions at once. First, you have some time to read questions 31 to 40. Now, listen and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's Urban Studies Seminar. Today, we'll explore the evolution of public transportation, a crucial but often overlooked driver of economic growth, environmental change, and social development. Let's begin with the earliest forms. Before the industrial age, people relied on animal-powered vehicles. Horses pulling carts and carriages were the most common. These systems were inefficient and limited in scale. But around the early 19th century, we saw the emergence of horse-drawn omnibuses. These were essentially large wagons that could carry multiple passengers along set routes, primarily in European and American cities. The major breakthrough, however, came with the invention of the steam engine. This led to the rise of railways, what we might now call intercity trains. Steam-powered locomotives made long-distance travel faster and more affordable than ever before. By the mid-1800s, trains were connecting cities across countries, reducing travel times from days to mere hours. But trains weren't the only development. In urban areas, horse-drawn trams were introduced on tracks embedded in city streets. These were later replaced by electric streetcars, a transformation that was made possible by the invention of the electric motor and advances in power distribution systems. Electric trams were quieter, cleaner, and significantly faster. One of the most important moments in the history of public transport came with the London Underground, which opened in 1863. It was the world's first subway system. Initially powered by steam, it soon switched to electricity. The underground system was a game changer. It allowed cities to grow vertically and expand outward without congesting roadways. In the 20th century, buses became increasingly popular. They were flexible, relatively cheap to operate, and didn't require rail infrastructure. Motor buses allowed transit authorities to modify routes easily, responding to population changes and urban growth. Around the same time, commuter rail services emerged in suburban areas. These systems were designed to carry passengers from residential outskirts into central business districts during peak hours. While similar to regular trains, commuter rails were specifically timed and structured around workday patterns. In the post-World War II era, particularly in the United States, public transportation entered a period of decline. With the rise of car ownership and the construction of highways, many cities became car-dependent. Public transit was seen as outdated and underfunded. However, by the late 20th century, a renewed focus on sustainability and urban livability triggered a public transport revival. Cities started investing in light rail systems, essentially modern trams that operated with updated vehicles and dedicated lanes. These systems combined the capacity of trains with the flexibility of buses. Another major innovation was the introduction of bus rapid transit, or BRT. Originating in Latin America, particularly in Curitiba, Brazil, BRT systems use dedicated lanes, timed signals, and prepaid boarding stations to mimic the efficiency of rail at a fraction of the cost. Technology has also revolutionized public transport. The widespread adoption of smart cards and mobile ticketing has streamlined fare collection. Real-time tracking apps help passengers make informed decisions about their routes and arrival times. In recent years, we've seen a new wave of micro-mobility solutions. These include e-scooters, bike share schemes, and e-bikes, often integrated with public transport hubs. They're especially useful for the last mile, the short journey from a station to a destination. There's also the concept of mobility as a service, often abbreviated as MaaS. It integrates various forms of transport, buses, trains, ride shares, and even bicycles into a single platform, usually accessible via smartphone apps. The idea is to create seamless, personalized transit experiences without requiring car ownership. Environmental concerns have pushed many cities toward electric buses and zero-emission fleets. Transitioning from diesel to electric reduces greenhouse gas emissions, lowers noise levels, and improves urban air quality. Public transport also plays a vital role in social equity. It provides affordable mobility for people who can't drive, whether due to age, income, or disability. Cities with well-funded systems often see improved access to education, jobs, and healthcare. But challenges remain. Funding is a major one. Public transport systems are capital-intensive and often rely on government subsidies to remain operational. Additionally, balancing efficiency with coverage, that is, reaching low-density areas without sacrificing frequency, is a constant struggle for transit planners. Security and reliability also influence ridership. Systems must be perceived as safe, clean, and punctual. Delays, overcrowding, and poor maintenance can quickly reduce public confidence. In summary, the journey of public transport has gone from horse-drawn carriages to fully integrated tech-enabled networks. As cities continue to grow, and as climate concerns intensify, public transport will remain central to shaping sustainable and inclusive urban futures.
That is the end of part 4. You have now 30 seconds to check your answers. You have now 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet.